Good morning to councillors and staff and members of the public gallery. Due to COVID-19 restrictions regarding gatherings and the need to comply with social distancing measures, all council meetings will be held by video conference until further notice. Residents will not be able to attend meetings in person. Federation Council wishes to advise members of the public gallery that meetings will be live streamed so that the public may view the proceedings of the meeting in real time or later, and will be available after each meeting on Council's website. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting today, the Bangarang people, and acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who now reside in this area. I extend that respect to elders, past and present, of the Bangarang nations. I'll now call for apologies and applications for leave of absence by councillors.
I haven't received any apologies, Mr Mayor, but I do have a leave of absence for yourself for part of the council meeting from 10:30 onwards for dental appointment and part of the council workshop.
Would someone like to move that, please? Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
So the Mayor would be asking the Deputy Chair after morning tea.
Thank you. Confirmation of minutes. Confirmation of minutes for the ordinary meeting held on the 15th of September 2020. Would someone like to move those minutes, please? Moved by Councillor Longley and seconded by Councillor Law. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Disclosure of interest.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I do have some listed here. So the first one being from Councillor Meagle for agenda item 8.10, 8.10, community grants, a PI2, so a significant non-pecuniary, being on the board of Rotary Club of Cora, which is one of the applicants for a community grant, so I'll table that. I've got one from Councillor Thomas for agenda item 11.3, a notice of motion for coal seam gas. It's just a discretionary disclosure. It's a less than significant non-pecuniary, being a delegate representing Cora District Land Care, were former 5 committee of Cora Shire, now they're incorporated group, and they were part of an earlier trip to Gunnedah to look into coal seam gas implications. So that's declared there, but Councillor Thomas will stay in the room and put forward that notice. And I have one here from Director Appleyard, Susan Appleyard, Director of Development and Environment, for report 8.10 Community Grants Program 2021, being a non-pecuniary interest. The partner is the president of the Urena Vintage Machinery Club, which has applied for a grant. So significant non-pecuniary. So those three there are tabled.
Thank you. Would someone like to move those, please? Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Number 6, Merrill Minute. I just use the Merrill Minute to congratulate the staff and council on the grant we received from the state government last week. We had a great morning out at Sayers. It was quite a bit of fun, and it's certainly going to be enormous benefit to that area once it's all completed and underway. So that was fantastic. And just the other one was, I spoke to Linda Scott, the president of the Shire Association, yesterday, just in relation to I suppose funding that's available, to make us aware as a council of funding that is available for us to apply, and also the push that we do apply for anything that is coming up soon before things dry out a bit. And she wanted to let us know that she's been offered the position to take on the position of ALGA president. Our current president's coming to the end of his term and doesn't want to do it if councils of the state had anything against that. And I told her from my own personal perspective I would be honoured, and I thought it'd be advantageous for her to be involved in ALGA on a federal level, so someone that's leading us in the state would have a finger on the pulse in the whole big picture. So I thought that personally that I would certainly endorse it, and pass it on to council if there was any comments from councillors. and get back to it. So thank you. I'll move to 6.1.
I'll just so that is that one. Sorry, 6.1 is the recommendation of the mayoral minute on the growing local economy sale yards.
Yes, okay.
And it still relates to that. Is send a letter of appreciation to Justin Clancy and Deputy Premier John Barilaro on the Cora Sale Yards grant.
Excellent.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Meagle. All in favour? Against, carried.
You're happy that other stuff just be noted as part of the record?
Absolutely, yeah. Item number 7, the General Manager's report.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. 7.1 is a disclosure on councillors, Audit Risk and Improvement Committee members and designated persons returns for 2019-20. So this report tables the disclosures that have been submitted in accordance with clause 4.21 of our Code of Conduct. And they are tabled here in front of us for information and public transparency.
Thank you. Can I have a move, please? Moved by Councillor Meagle, seconded by Councillor Thomas. All in favour? Against, carried.
7.2 is the General Manager's annual performance review. So the recommendation there, that's an annual review that Council conduct on my 4-year contract, and that's been conducted, and the recommendation is to defer that report 7.2 to the closed session for further discussion.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Wales, seconded by Councillor Law. All in favour? Carried.
7.3 is the report on the Murray-Darling Association Region 2 Executive Committee. So Councillor Thomas may wish to speak to this one, Mr Mayor, when it gets moved and seconded. This seeking support for Councillor Thomas to be considered for position on the Executive Committee of MDA Region 2.
Can I have a mover, please, Councillor? Moved by Councillor Meagle, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. All in favour? Against? I'm sorry. Before I put it, would you like to speak?
Yeah, if that's okay. Well, thank you everybody for endorsing this. I think it's a really exciting opportunity. As you know, our journey with the MDA has been very, very strong. And with our move to Region 2, I have had a phone call from Councillor Patterson. He's the current chair of that particular region. Unfortunately, he's actually not restanding in the council elections for Shepparton this upcoming Saturday. So he will have to actually step down from being chair, but he is thinking he'd still like to be on the committee as a public delegate, which we do know we do have public delegates. They have also asked, I've had a phone call from Kathy Keegan, who works in the MDA office in Echuca, hoping that Federation Council would be happy to host the AGM on the 7th of November. And I said that I'd bring it to council today to get your endorsement if we were happy to host that AGM for Region 2. And just so you know, Councillor Patterson also hinted that he would like to nominate myself to be chair of Region 2 as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my news. And if we could just get some support to host the Region 2 AGM on the 7th of November, that would be brilliant. Obviously, we'd have to do it in accordance with COVID-19 going on at the minute, but I'm sure we can get in and around it. It would be nice to have some people in the room, and I'm probably budgeting for about 20 if we can get them here. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds fine. Would you like to add that to the...
Yeah.
Michelle can type it up, but we'll just put the Federation Council endorse hosting the AGM for Region 2 on 7th, Region 2 of the MDA on the 7th of November 2020.
Thank you. Councillor Longmire.
Yeah, just a query, if I may, through you, Mr Mayor, to Councillor Thomas in regard to the opportunity for delegates to be part of it from Shepparton area. At the moment, there has been a hotspot in Shepparton. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you're aware of it. Yeah.
We'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. And when I spoke to Councillor Patterson, it was just probably 2 or 3 days before it happened. So we'd have to be quite across that.
And allow attendance?
Yes.
We had the same with our internal audit committee where we had a member from Yarrawonga who was not at risk at all but had been to Shepparton those last few weeks. So some of us were here and we still had the dial-ins.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good point.
Thank you.
I'm sure if we do it, we'll do it well once again, because Federation, that's what we do well.
Exactly.
And congratulations, Councillor Thomas. I think
Thanks.
it would be very fitting for you to take that chair position. Okay, I'll put it all in favour.
Aye.
Against, carried.
7.4 is another really popular initiative that council do. It's the 2021 community calendar project. So next year's community calendar. So Lana's put together a good little report here on where that's up to, outlining the way that program will run. So for notation,
Excellent. Moved by councillor Law, seconded by councillor Kennedy. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Aye. Against, carried.
7.5 is a report seeking authority to affix the Common Seal of Council onto proposed lease for Oakland's Medical Centre with Dr. Geary, the local doctor out of Urana Medical Centre.
Thank you. Moved by councillor Longley, seconded by councillor Kennedy. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried.
7.6, Oakland Recreation Reserve. So it's another report seeking authority to fix the Common Seal of Council. Come about that there's quite a few lots that run across that ground, and it's caused issues with boundary alignments and other things. So the decision was made to consolidate all that.
Moved by councillor Longley, seconded by councillor Law. Questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried.
7.7 is a final report just to endorse for consideration, endorse motions for LG New South Wales annual conference on 23 November to be held virtually. So note the report considering additional attendance. We've already got a few others that have opted to join in for the low fee of $66 and have it in the Murray room here. And quite a lot of different motions there that we're going to put forward to progress, and any others on the meeting if you'd like.
Thank you. Moved by councillor Thomas, seconded by councillor Meagle. Any questions or comments, councillor Thomas?
I just have a question for our general manager. You know how in the recommendation you've got the motions listed? That's not in order of priority, that you've just listed them.
Yeah.
So I was just really pleasing to see the motion in regards to the funding for the critical water and sewer infrastructure. Like if I had to list them, that probably would have been, not that we need to, but that would be really quite important. And obviously too about the COVID-19, the impact on local government, especially our rural areas, especially those ones along the border. That's important too. So yeah, no, thank you. I think they're well-rounded motions to go forward.
All in favour? Against, carried.
Thanks. That's the end of the GM reports.
Thanks, Mr. Butler. We'll ask the Director of Corporate and Community Services report.
Might be swap over, get over. Get numbers.
Morning, councillors.
Morning, David Shannon.
Morning.
This report relates to the financial performance report as at the 30th of September 2020. So key highlights in that report are we're 25% of the way through the year. We have total income of $14.7 million against a full year budget of $41.5 million. Expenditures at $11.1 million against a full year budget of $38.5 million. We have cash in the general fund of $7.9 million and our debt is at $10.3 million, which is a reduction of $4 million from the previous month. So the report is recommended to you for noting.
Thank you. Moved by councillor Meagle, seconded by councillor Law. Any questions or comments, councillors? I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried.
Agenda item 8.2 relates to the financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2020. The annual financial statements have been prepared in accordance with the required Australian accounting standards, the Local Government Act and the Local Government Code of Accounting Practice and Financial Reporting. So those statements went to Council's Audit Committee last week at its meeting on Friday, and Council's external auditor also attended that meeting. So following the Audit Committee review of those financial statements, they are now recommended to Council for signing, subject to any final minor audit adjustments that are required. So there's a detailed recommendation for you there in the papers, and I would ask that the second recommendation be amended to include that it is subject to any final minor audit changes.
Question without notice.
I'll just get it moved by councillor Meagle, seconded by councillor Thomas.
Sorry.
Thank you, councillor Long.
Employment leave entitlements are fairly substantial. Are we carrying a lot of excess annual leave reviews that maybe we should give staff to take?
Councillor Longley, our excess annual leave is something that has been raised and discussed with the external auditors. So some of our staff are carrying extensive periods of leave. It's been particularly challenging through this COVID year where staff it's been difficult for staff to take leave, and it's been difficult to encourage staff to take leave. So we do have a program of reporting in place and having discussions with staff to make sure that they are scheduling some breaks now that things are starting to ease up with restrictions. So that is something we are working on, and we will need to keep working on over the next 12 to 18 months to bring that balance down.
Next question. I notice our workers' comp premiums have gone up, and that's fine, but our rebate has decreased. Is that because we're having accidents or reportable accidents?
I need to take that as a question on notice and get back to you if I may.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Did we deal with that alteration that you wanted to point to? Was that covered for you? At the start of it, the recommendations with the small alterations?
Yes, so effectively, perhaps to make it clear for the wording and for the minutes, that the second one would then read that subject to any final minor audit changes, Council authorises the signing of the declaration as follows. As the rest of the recommendation would remain the same.
Mm-hmm. Happy with that. But before I put it, it was pleasing to hear that the auditors were quite impressed with the financials, and credit to you and your team. That's fantastic. But I also like to note that the Federation Council in the Merged Council is sitting pretty much up on the top shelf. So we're tracking very well financially and things are looking great. So that was really good to hear that. So
Well done.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just to endorse it was very pleasing to sit in on the audit committee and hear the very positive comments that came from the external auditors and the recognition of the work the staff have done over the past 12 months in fairly trying circumstances in terms both of workload and resources. That also the accounts on their own, there were some questions and some concerns raised, but this has all been mitigated by the long-term financial plan that we've undertaken, and now with that roadmap going forward, that puts us in a much better situation. And once again, to endorse your comments to the staff for work well done. Good job.
thank you, Councillor Engel. I think that's okay.
I'll pass it on to Lynn.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Please do.
If there's nothing else, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried.
Agenda item 8.3 relates to the Government Information Public Access Annual Report. So this is a requirement under the GIPA Act to provide an annual report and submit that to the Minister and the New South Wales Privacy Commissioner. So that report has now been prepared and has been submitted. So the report is for you to note that that has actually occurred.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Wales, seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried.
Agenda item 8.4 relates to the Model Code of Conduct and Procedures. Following a recent Supreme Court case, there's been some changes to the regulations, and the Office of Local Government has advised that changes have actually been made to the Model Code of Conduct and to the procedures for the administration of the Model Code of Conduct for local councils in New South Wales. So we've reviewed those changes and have updated our documents accordingly. So the recommendation before you is to note the prescribed changes to the Model Code of Conduct and Procedures as contained in the paper, and that Council adopt the proposed Model Code of Conduct and Procedures for implementation, including in there a $100 cap on the value of gifts that may be accepted by councils or council officers.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried. Thank you.
Agenda item 8.5 relates to the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee and the Internal Audit Charter. As you may recall, we are currently progressing through implementing the New South Wales Government's new risk management and internal audit framework. So it's quite a long transition period of implementing this. So we've come up to our cyclical review of the internal audit chart, or of the audit committee's charter, and we've adopted some of the changes that will be coming into place, in the next 12 to 18 months as a result of that new framework. So the recommendation before you is that Council adopt the revised Audit Risk and Improvement Committee Charter, that Council will review that charter every 2 years in accordance with the new framework, and that the updated charter be placed on Council's website.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Meagle, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Longmire.
Yeah, question, Mr Mayor, if I may, in regard to the appointment of the 3 audit officers, the selection opportunity there, how does that work?
Being for the independent members of the Audit Committee. So we haven't commenced that process. There's a couple of things that are happening in the audit process. First of all, the charter that's been reviewed, so that will be finalised today. We are then also looking to appoint internal auditors. So the contract with our existing internal auditor expired the 30th of June. So we've conducted an expression of interest process, and there will be a recommendation coming to the next council meeting for the appointment of the internal auditor. Then we'll be proceeding with advertising for independent audit committee members. So that will be the next part of that.
Thank you.
And so there'll be further information forthcoming next month on how that process actually works.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further questions? I'd also, Councillor Longmire has reminded me, I should make mention that our current representatives on that committee, Councillor Meagle and Councillor Wales.
Yep.
A thank you goes out to you, councillors, too, on behalf of all the rest of the council for being part of that and part of the success it's brought forward. So thanks very much. Okay, and nothing further. I'll put it all in favour. Against carried.
This report relates to the North of Murray, the Destination Marketing Strategy and the Implementation Plan. So, and there's a 5-year implementation plan. This project has been funded through the New Council Implementation Fund, so the merger funding that Council received a number of years ago, which enabled us to develop the tourism brand and then develop this Destination Marketing Strategy and Implementation Plan. So there is a detailed report there for you. I just wanted perhaps to highlight just a couple of things. So there's a number of strategic priorities that have been put into the destination marketing strategy, and probably for me the key ones are about there being championing our towns with a focus on establishing geography and unique experiences, because this is a destination marketing strategy for our whole council area. We've got lots of different diverse tourism assets across the council area. It also includes prioritising the opportunities in the target market to respond to current conditions and opportunities. And so, COVID is one of those key current conditions and the impact it's had on our economic activity. And then also aligning our key messaging and marketing activity to the regional and state tourism partners. So the recommendation before you in that report is to note the North of the Murray Destination Marketing Strategy and Implementation Plan report, and to endorse the 5-year strategy, and subject to a review coming back to Council every 12 months, looking at the progress that has been made, the outcomes of that, and looking at whether or the level of financial resources put towards that.
Thank you. Could I move it, please? Moved by Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch.
Question,
or comments? Councillor Meagle.
Just a quick one. The budget, Ms Shannon, for this strategy and implementation, is that out of that existing merger funding?
So for the implementation, there is some of that money is coming from the merger funding. Some is also coming from the budget for 2020-21.
Yep.
Not sure where the time's gone there, sorry.
Okay.
And so in the current year's annual budget, after that, there's no substantial money in there to support the strategy. So what we're looking at is the opportunities to have low cost, effective marketing undertaken, and digital and social media is key to that from our perspective. So there will be further information coming to you on what that actually looks like and whether there are opportunities for council to consider what its budget allocation is for destination marketing.
So the opportunity then to review that prior to the 21-22 budget will exist depending on how things have transpired up until that time.
Absolutely.
True. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tom.
Just on some commentary in and around the point number 2, there was some negative feedback that we've received. And, was it evidence-based or was it verbal? If you can just enlighten us maybe about, because we can see positive, and I'm just curious about what the negative might have been.
Yes, so, and that negative feedback primarily relates to the north of the Murray as the tourism brand. So it's something that was developed with a lot of input from a range of tourism operators, but there are some that think that it's perhaps not specific enough, or there should have been a focus on the Federation element of our brand and things like that. So, it is a difficult one because at the end of the day, we won't get something that everyone is happy with. But what we're doing is working with those operators to see, to see if we can assist with bringing them on board with the brand and assisting them to understand how it can actually work for them and their own marketing program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watcher.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I note that, and off the back of Councillor Meagle's comments, I know that we've talked to many different people in the planning of this North of the Murray campaign. I agree that the annual review is important and we need to be flexible with the funding, and we've probably got to put a little bit more money we know that we've got to put more money to our marketing and our tourism, but I'm just wondering whether an annual review in the recommendation there, whether we need to include annual review / if there was something happened, like a COVID, do we need to be then saying, well, okay, we need to act now. We can't wait for the annual review. We need to throw $10,000 at this and get people back to Cora, as I do think we need to now. We've got the launch money, but I think we need to be putting a little bit more emphasis on getting people back to our Federation region. And something in 3 years' time, be it another bushfire or floods or whatever, there may be a need outside the annual review to look at dumping some unbudgeted or some unallocated money back into it. I don't know whether it needs to go in the recommendation or whether we deal with that as it arises.
I think we can definitely accommodate that through, when circumstances change with anything, it's an opportunity to review what we're doing and bring it back. Yeah. So I don't know that we specifically need to change that, the recommendation, but I think that needs to be our intent within our strategies and plans.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that would be the intent of the room. Yeah. Yep. Councillor Longmire.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've got this right, but I printed out what says to me an annual current budget for the opportunity for this North of the Murray promotion. The numbers that came out, if I've got this right, I could be wrong, but it's $688,333 in regard to expenditure. Is that right or not?
That figure, I'd need to have a look at the actual figure you've got there. That sounds more like the entire tourism and visitor information budget.
Yes, it is.
And events. So I do have it scheduled on the council workshop agenda this afternoon to provide you with a better understanding of what that actually
because the numbers here are pretty daunting in regard to the income of $7,542 when you structure that, and it's quoted here. So that's something that I'd certainly be interested in coming into, because that's a lot of money for the opportunity for our promotion expenditure itself, but for the tourism operation. So we'll deal with that this afternoon in workshop. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, councillors. If there's nothing further, I'll put it. All in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
Agenda item 8.7 relates to our With Love From Us digital marketing campaign. So this campaign was established to ensure that the Federation Council area does remain present in people's minds as a destination to come to, so that they are thinking about holiday planning, that type of thing, and that places, whether it's Corowa, Urana, Mulwala, Howlong, are in people's mind when they're thinking about planning a holiday as restrictions ease. So that, as can be seen, there's been quite a bit of digital campaigning there with social media, Facebook, all of that sort of thing. So quite a bit of effort and quite a bit of coverage and sharing of those posts, which has been quite good. And so that's quite an organic approach, but it's also a very cost-effective approach of getting the Federation Council area in front of people.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. Questions or comments, councillors? I was just wondering what Scott Donders, did he get paid or did he pay for the photos? Councillor Longmire.
To move the motion or the recommendation is something that, okay, I'll go with. My attention comes to the fact that it's with love from us. Okay, we all love the loving feeling and all the rest of it. However, if you look at the best promotions that have been done for the Australian tourism industry, one of the best ones straight away comes to your mind is Paul Hogan put another shrimp on the barbie. So this is all warm and fuzzy and cuddly and all lovely. But at the end of the day, I was thinking, was there something that could determine an opportunity where people say, oh, hang on, what's that one about? Noticeable. But this is nice and smooth and cuddly. But anyway, that's just, I thought I'd have a comment. I'm not sure what other councillors would think as well.
And I thought it was quite fitting that you moved
Put a cot on the
Councillor Longmire.
I thought he Abby. Sorry.
Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I've monitored the social media fairly heavily, and coming off what Councillor Longmire said, it's true to a degree. The With Love From Us organisation or group had an opportunity to submit a post, and without naming ones that were more successful than others, but particular posts that had people, local people or local heroes in them, were the ones that got the most attention and the most views and the most likes. Like the ABC Club or XYZ that had 7 or 8 local faces that people could relate to, people looked at and went further, whereas the ones that had one person walking up talking didn't attract as much attention as those. So I keep going down the champions line and I keep saying that we need to use our local heroes, and it's got to come through somewhere in this program. And I think when we do that, you'll find that that's when it booms.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Can I make a comment? One national caravan manufacturer currently has 7,000 caravan orders in place without restocking his or their dealerships. That's only one provider, and there's 12 months waits on caravans. So there's some huge opportunities, and everyone gets going on the road for our area.
That's it, yeah. I also believe that. Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll put it all in favour. Thank you, it's carried.
The next agenda item relates to Australia Day 2021. So as you would be aware, the 2021 Australia Day is scheduled to be, or our Federation Council event is scheduled to be held in Urannah for the next one. So we've conducted an expression of interest process for a community organisation to be involved in the planning for that event. And the Urannah Aquatic Centre committee members have put in a proposal to effectively host that event in January 2021. So the recommendation before you is to note the contents of the report, including that the Australia Day Award nominations are now open and will close on Friday the 4th of December. And I'd encourage you all to promote that out in your circles. And that also that Council confirms the Urannah Aquatic Centre Committee is the event host. And pending on final construction, the Urannah Aquatic Centre is the Urannah Aquatic Centre as the venue for the Australia Day event. So there was discussion about having the event in the building, and that would be subject to the final construction. So. And given COVID, I would think that may be a bit challenging. However, the Urannah Aquatic Centre is the area there with the water and the grounds there. So the recommendation is that be the venue for the Australia Day event.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Thomas.
I have a question. I just really want to thank the staff behind the scenes and our mayor and our citizens and our youth council who pulled together the little promo video that's been up on social media. It's excellent. It really gives the importance and the connection to highlight those people who do contribute to our community and to recognise them. So well done. Yeah, it was great.
Thanks, Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, I'll pass that on.
And when I say with love from Kennedy's. Okay, if there's nothing further, I'll put that all in favour. Against, carried.
Agenda item 8.9 is the community grants program, so round one for this financial year. So that was advertised and there was amounts requested totaling $45,000. So those applications have been reviewed by the subcommittee that looks after that community grants program, and the recommendation before you is to allocate funding to numerous projects totaling $35,019, as detailed there in the report. So the recommendation is to note the report, endorse those funding allocations totaling $35,019, note the remaining budget, and note also that the round two will open on the 8th of February 2021 and close in early March 2021 for the April council meeting.
Thanks, moved by Councillor Longley, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments? Councillor Thomas.
This is more well done to our community groups who have taken the time to make their application, and congratulations to those who were successful. This question is actually a question without notice to my fellow councillors who sit on the subcommittee. As you would be aware, we actually reviewed the tiered system and how it was going to be delivered. And I just really wanted some feedback because this will be the second time that we've delivered in this tiered approach with the grant money and the funds. And how do they feel that's going? Those people that sit on that subcommittee, I'd be really, really interested to know.
Well, I think we're going pretty good with that. Green way we sort of sorted them out.
Yeah, because you have the comparison about how it used to be a lump sum, like the three, and now you've got the tiered approach. I was just more curious about how that is working with the application process and categorising.
It's presented to us by the staff and they recommend what they think, and we just got to look over it and
Discuss through it and
we just go through it and we say, well, we reckon that one should get more, or that's how we do it. But
it seems a fair process. Well, we discuss it and and like this one mightn't get that much, but then goes the other one. So
I think now with the changes that we've made, it's a fairer process.
I think so.
For the grant application.
Definitely drop. Yeah.
Councillor Thomas, I did have one question, and I asked that previously. In these community grants, are 355 communities not eligible to?
No.
For what reason?
Because they're part of council. They're actually part of council.
Yes.
And they're looking after council property. Usually they have an attachment to a council entity.
Yeah, those committees are funded, like, I think traditionally they're given $3,000 a year, which goes generally into insurance and any.
Do you remember section 355?
Yeah, the council's already covered them.
Yeah, and the funds are actually held by council with section.
The insurance.
Yeah, for 355.
Yeah, that insurance used to come out of that figure as well. But I'm just wondering whether they're looking after a council asset.
They are, but they actually hold no. They should, if you look at the section 355 manual or terms of reference for council, they actually shouldn't have bank account. All their funds are actually held by council and distributed by council. Yeah. So they might move a recommendation at their general meeting for payment of the electricity, or let's get this floor sanded or something. So it's actually got to come out of their pocket of money that is actually held. That's how I interpret it to be. Am I correct? Yeah.
Yeah, and my interpretation was that anything that extra often that they want for that council-owned facility, they would fundraise, by whatever means, and usually saving council hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I just wondered why they were excluded. But anyway,
I suppose they're most successful because they're taking over self-ownership over a council asset. Like I said, community self-ownership. So they're absolutely driven to it, to improve and enhance what they've got within their community too. So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. So they really can only apply for outside grants now. Yeah. Okay, thank you. If there's no further conversation on that, I'll put it. All in favour? Thanks, carried. Oh, okay.
Coral Rotary got something,
Agenda item 8.10 relates to Christmas opening hours and the office closure. So there's there's a schedule there of a recommendation to you on the closure of various council facilities for that Christmas period. So it's recommended to you for adoption.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Against, carried.
Agenda item 8.11 relates to the Howlong Industrial Estate and the setting of the land sale prices. So given the nature of this one, it is recommended that this be considered at the closed session of the council today.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Neagle. Any questions or comments? I'll put it. All in favour? Against, carried.
The next item is 8.12, which was an addendum report that came to councillors, and it relates to the sale of some land in the Corowa Industrial Estate, and the application of the common seal. So the recommendation before you is that council authorise the common seal of council to be affixed to the contract of sale for the property at the Corowa Industrial Estate and the associated documents.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Kennedy and seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments? I'll put it. All in favour? Against, carried. Thanks very much, Director Shannon. That was excellent.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, councillors.
Councillor, we'll now move on to Director of Development and Environmental Services. Director Appleyard. Morning.
Councillors, item 9.1 is the building approvals for complying development and construction certificates approved since our last meeting.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch. Any questions or comments, councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Against, carried.
Item 9.2 is the development applications approved under delegation by the staff. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Longley, seconded by Councillor Neagle. Any questions or comments?
Question. This probably relates to 9.1 and 9.2. Looking through these, and it's been consistent that we don't see any dwellings for Howlong. We've got sheds going up the wall, but where would all the dwellings be? Because they're building them flat out over there, but I don't see them coming through here.
I would say the majority of them are being done by private certifiers.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Can do we record those values?
We are rebuilding our system at the moment, and when those values are available, we will be able to present them to council.
Any further councillors? If not, I'll put it. All in favour? Against, carried.
Item 9.3 is the regional estate significant development applications that are currently with council or with the state that affect this council area. There's been no change since last month.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Longley. Any questions or comments? All in favour? Against, carried.
Item 9.4 is Corowa District Landcare Seed Production Site. The Landcare Group have chosen the site William Sloane Reserve to undertake seed production. It was considered to be the best site out of all the Crown land or council-owned land, and the recommendation is that we allow that to happen.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Thomas, seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments? Councillor Thomas.
This is a really exciting project. I mean, I don't know how many of you in the room are familiar with spas or seed production areas, but they've been very successful, especially if they're direct seeded. It's probably the best way to get them up and going. If you can source native Pacific seeds, it actually enhances the project. This particular reserve will actually respond really well to what they're proposing. And I'd just like to congratulate the staff because it hasn't been an easy process to get this on the table and on our agenda, because there was some background going on, I suppose one would say. But I know the Savernake community excited, Corowa District Landcare are really looking forward to the project getting up and running, and I know the Sloane family are as well. They're very pleased. So well done to all involved. And I'd like to make the request that a plaque go up in some form, maybe to recognise the partnerships, if that's possible, or a signage or anything. Do you know if that's going to happen?
I'm not sure if that is going to happen, but we can make it.
Maybe just make inquiries. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Councillor Thomas. If there's nothing more, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried.
Councillors, item 9.5 is the minutes of the Urano Progress Association. It is their AGM. So councillors are to endorse the members of the committee.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Whitechurch.
Comment?
Previous
conversation, 355 of committees, they've nominated a treasurer here when technically they probably still have a bank account, but under the 355 committees, they shouldn't have a bank account. Is that right?
I'd have to take that on notice.
I think most of them have a treasurer to look after the money before it's given to council. They have to.
That's something that needs to be discussed as far as 355 committees. I think need to do more work on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
For sure. I've put that, haven't I?
No,
No, I haven't. We've got a mover and seconder.
Yeah.
And any further questions? No. I'll put it all in favour. All right. Against, carried. Thank you.
Item 9.6, councillors, is the draft ballpark master plan and business case. As you can see from the report, we had a number of submissions, both from the public and from agencies. These submissions have resulted in several changes to the document, notably the inclusion of long-term casual occupation site in accordance with the Act, and also reference to the Crown Land Management Act.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Thomas. Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Whitechurch.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, it's great to see that what appears to be a very drawn-out process has been done with the most due diligence that we could put into it, and all the stakeholders have certainly returned their submissions, both locally and regionally, and of course people that were from far and wide, being Melbourne and former annuals. I believe the modifications that have been made as a result of the submissions have been good, and it does go to show that public consultation with those submissions is certainly noted, and we're going to get what we believe is one of the best results for the biggest caravan park development this town's seen in a long time. I also take note and credit that the fact that we've at least considered that there's going to be annual sites in there now. Whether they're taken up or not taken up is entirely going to be up to the people, and of course if they're not, we'll revert back to normal caravan or cabin type sites. But I think it's great, and now we're in the next stage of moving forward to get it underway. Well done to all staff, and especially to Director Appleyard for the time that she's put in to this project along the way, and the staff.
Thank you, Councillor Whitechurch. If there be no further comments, I'll put it all in favour. Against, carried.
Item 9.7 is development application 2020 number 174. This is for the demolition of the former nurses' home in Guy Street. The main reason this was presented to council is when the subdivision occurred to separate the nurses' home from the hospital, the heritage requirements were not extinguished over the lot, and so it remained on the two titles after subdivision. So going through, having that in place, we needed to do a heritage assessment. So the heritage advisor was contacted and has provided comment, and then a listing assessment was done in accordance with the Heritage Act. The recommendation is to amend the Corowa Local Environmental Plan item I-19 under Schedule 5 of the LEP, and also to demolish the building.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Whitechurch, seconded by Councillor Law. Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Longmire.
Yeah, I'd support the opportunity in regard to the redevelopment of when you see the new building as such. And probably as we go down further in time, that the opportunity to, because of the facility that's being developed here, the opportunity for the expansion or the remodelling or whichever way of the Corowa Hospital as we know it could be an opportunity that will go even further. So That's something that obviously the Murrumbidgee Health Services and these people, but it just makes it so that it could go in a big way, in a better way.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Thomas, did you have a comment?
Just probably two items. There was some commentary in the community about retention of the foundation stone, which I do believe is going to happen. So then it's strategically placed so then it can, so people can still see whom, how and why the original building was there. So that's really exciting. And the other point, Paul, to see the plans for what they're about to embark on is really, really positive, not only for the Cairo community, but beyond. This holistic approach to health services is going to really be a key aspect to not only economic development for this region, but also for health services in general and the attraction of those health services. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor
Meagle,
sorry, I'm just taking an order. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to endorse Councillor Thomas's comments, I think that Corowa has always had the opportunity to have excellent health facilities for its size. The fact that we are enhancing and supporting that, we've already supported the Urana and Oakland's communities with health services to see this coming forward, as Councillor Thomas pointed out. I think it's truly exciting to have the range of proposed or the potential for so many health services in a town and a community this size, as Councillor Thomas said, extends far wider than the local community. It'll extend to the region, and that can not only enhance the region's reputation as being an A1 health provider. So very happy to support the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Meagle. Councillor Moore?
When I stood for council, I stood hoping to help maintain the services that we have for the aged and everybody else in the town. And I think this is a great thing. It's going to certainly improve the services of the town. And if the statistics are right and Corowa is going to grow ahead in the next 10 years, this is something that is going to be really needed, well used, and I can only see good things coming from it. It may bring a lot more employment to the town, and that's what we need to grow.
Thank you. Excellent. If there's no...
Just make one comment. With the render that's in the document, that is their first draft of what they're looking at. We are, the planning and building staff are working with the developers on the document, so it may change. So, but this was a concept plan that they've come up with at this stage.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, just being a planning matter, it's just a show of hands and we record the votes.
Okay, councillors, we've got a mover and seconder. Shall I put it all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. And thank you very much. Steve, would you like to? Director of Engineering and Services report.
You want to have your morning tea or keep going?
Well, we'll just do this report, mate.
Yeah,
Morning tea. Okay, we've had
Close to lunch.
Mr. General Manager, we've had a vote. It looks like we'll break for morning tea. So would someone like to suspend standing orders? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Longmire, seconded by Councillor Law. All in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. We'll move back into open council. Can I get someone to move?
So moved.
Councillor Longmire, second. Councillor Kennedy.
Yep.
All in favour? Aye. Carried. Yes.
Director of Engineering Services.
Director of Engineering Services report. Hand over to Steve Carmichael.
You will when I get there, when I find it again.
Thanks, Steve.
I've just found it. Thank you, Mr Mayor, or Acting Mayor. Item 10.1 is the report of the progress of the works program for September. Just listed there in this notation, unless there's any questions.
Question, if I may, Mr Deputy?
Yeah, I've got a recommendation there. I'll get a mover.
Yeah, I'll move it also.
Councillor Longmire, second. Councillor Kennedy. Questions or comments?
Yeah, in regard to the hole with the water that's nearly dried up across Felton Road. Is there any way we can get that done sooner than later?
Yeah, I'm going to have a look at it at lunchtime.
Wonderful, thank you very much. That's the sort of answer I appreciate. Thank you very much.
There's action. Any other questions or comments, councillors? No further comments, I'll put it. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried.
Item 10.2 is a report on the progress of the Capital Works program, and you will note there that through the budget, the federal government budget, not through our budget, we have, well, I don't think we've had an official letter, but we've had, certainly there's enough around to indicate that we're going to pick up an additional 1.26 million or 1.257 million out of the LRCI program, which is the local roads community infrastructure. It is, it's not capital infrastructure. I think I mentioned once before, I thought it was capital community infrastructure. And I thought I had some, you must have taken them out, did you, Aidan? I did have some.
Yeah, there was some additional things I thought we'd just workshop them.
Yeah, that's all right. I did have some suggestions in there. So that what we're planning to do is workshop that. I presume at the November meeting was where the intention was with that.
Yeah.
Just to pass through. That money becomes available on the 1st of January next year. So we just need to, and we still haven't got a schedule of works for the last lot we put in yet. So I hope they give it to us because we've already started some of those works.
Well, I've got a recommendation there, councillors. We're going to move Councillor Longmire, second Councillor Meagle. Questions or comments? Councillor Longmire.
If I may, Mr Deputy Mayor, the identification of Cockatee-Jong Road project, 3 kilometres of $762,504. Where is Cockatee-Jong Road?
It's also known as MR59. That doesn't help. It's also known as the Geraldry Road.
From out of Urana.
When you live in Urana.
Because I looked up Cockatee-Jong Road, I could not find it.
And we like doing that because when you put in funding applications, no one else can pronounce it, and then no one's got a clue where it is, and you have great fun with that. So yeah,
well, it's not very comforting for councillors. I got to tell you, Mr. Carmichael.
Councillor Thomas.
Director Carmichael, I wasn't really sure where to bring this up, but I'm going to be bringing it up now. I wasn't sure if it fit into 10.1 or 10.2. I've had 4 phone calls, a personal visit, 1 email talking about the upcoming harvest and the demand that harvest will have on our roads, especially our gravel roads. Are you right, Steve?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Sorry, I'm trying to do my full flight, get into it, but I can stop for a minute if you want me to. So obviously we've got a rural community out there who are really quite concerned about the condition of their gravel roads and how those gravel roads are going to react, especially to the great harvest that we're about to embark on. And it is going to be a really good season and we're all looking forward to that season. I've just got off a phone call just then from a farmer out at Oaklands who's on Darcy's Road, and he's telling me that Warragoon will not open this year. So with Warragoon not opening because it doesn't meet OH&S standards, that means it's going to put pressure on either trucks coming into Yarrawonga, Oaklands, Berrigan or across to Tocumwal. So considering that, I don't know where we're up to with our gravel roads, whether we can meet with some of these key landholders who do have concerns, who have made representation, get some notes off them where they're concerned. Look at these gravel roads because some of these gravel roads are going to become main arterial roads with this upcoming harvest. So if you can give us some commentary around that. And the other point of call that 2 other landholders mentioned to me, and they've actually taken matters into their own hands, was the old traditional slashing of the roadsides, slashing our intersections, or the spraying out of the edges. Where are we up to with that? Thank you.
Well, that one, we're just talking about that actually because we had a bushfire meeting a week or so ago. And one of the things that's come out of that is that the more slashing we can get done, the better. We have a limited number of slashes, so anybody that, I'd certainly encourage any landowners at the moment that have frontage to any roads, if they can do a bit of slashing, it's going to help, especially around intersections. And
they have done it, I know.
Yeah, I know they have. And I come through Victoria on the way up here and they do a lot of it over in Victoria. We're throwing all the gear we've got at it, but we'll probably hire in some as well. But yeah, that is a concern. Back on the gravel roads, we've done a reasonable amount of grading. It's just a matter of if there are people coming in, just flick it in to us so that we can go and have a look at them. It's quicker to do it that way than it is, I think, just to try and meet up with people. But it's going to depend just there's a whole series of things. There's going to be a hell of a lot of road trains. The amount of permits I've done in recent times. There's going to be road trains on all of these back roads, which we're going to have to be careful of, which is going to move a lot of grain in a hurry, which probably, it's probably better than having a little single axle truck that we had many years ago. We talked about it a number of times, which was always legally loaded, but seemed to have 3 loads on top of one another. So you're going to have a lot of that, and I don't have a great problem with that. That's obviously why we've opened the Shire up to that type of thing. But yeah, and some blow out. Some types of gravel stand up reasonably well under heavy loads. Others will blow out, and we know it because where it's likely to happen, especially when you get the softer type gravels. They tend to go to a bull dust type. So we're just going to have to watch that.
Yeah, so on your suggestion, I can touch base with these landholders again and actually say that council are really happy to follow up your areas of concern.
Yeah. No,
just pass them on to yourself.
Just let the ladies know at the office or get them into the customer care request and we'll have a look at them. And
okay.
Do that. Especially while we're getting this bit of a rain, it's sort of giving us a chance to get on top of it. So.
Because certainly if people are giving us that feedback and they're worried now when we don't really want to get 4 weeks to 6 weeks down the track, and considering they're starting to cut canola probably within the next 2 weeks, well, next thing time we'll be away. So thank you very much for that.
Mr Deputy, if I may. Yeah. Unless there's somebody else.
Yeah, you'll go.
Through you, Mr Deputy, in regard to the concern with Mr Carmichael mentioned with the bushfire and our support, the other evening I went to Daysdale and attended a group meeting of that brigade, which was put together and done very well. And Graydon Davis, I think, is the area sort of commander in some way, and did a presentation which was really engaging of the volunteers. It was well done. And so having said that, it brought me to remember not so long ago in the old Corridor Council, there was a policy of council to adhere to every landowner having to have a fire break around the perimeter of their farm, which was roughly about 10 feet. It was a requirement and policy of council. Do we know if that's still effective, or what have we done with it? Is there any way we can find that out and have a look at it? Because what I'm getting at, I think the season is such a big season. We've gone from one limitation of 2 years of drought to where we are now. So, okay, what do we do to make sure we can cover these situations in the future? There might be something we can pull together as a policy, so that we are allowed, as Mr Carmichael has suggested, to go out on the road and slash. We are allowed to do certain constraint spraying or whatever. I think it's something we need to bring together, and we're all neighbours and adjacent to one another, council and landowners. We need to pull together to help the Rural Fire Service, because we hope they don't be busy, but they may be.
I'm not sure what our policy is. Certainly at other councils I worked with, but Temora, where I was previous to here, they were very strict on weeks. They had one person employed through the summer months inspecting fire breaks. That was his job.
Yeah. Perhaps take that on notice and get back to us.
Yeah, it's probably policy. Corridor Shire policy, I think. I don't know whether
it certainly was. Yeah. I actually got into trouble. Why? Because I actually ploughed out in the road, and I got pulled over the coals and had to come in and demonstrate to council why I was doing it. But that's how it reflects on my memory.
And you are correct, Councillor Long. People have been pulled up for actually doing exactly that, ploughing out on the road.
The worst one, the one you have to be very careful of, it's probably not signposted that well on local roads, but certainly on regional roads, we have a number of areas where there's infectious weeds. Yes. Most of them are signposted, so we just want people to keep out of those areas, because if they start doing that, they just runs it along the road. So be mindful of those areas, and we get a measure.
Yeah, just to add to that, the meeting Steve and I sat in on was chaired by Pat Westwood, our district commander, but certainly Graydon out there. Saturday takes a great role across the districts and pulling all the zones together and everything too, Graydon Davis. But what was interesting for us too, they had agency reps from Forestry New South Wales, Crown Lands, I don't know if Railways were on it, but it was a fairly big cohort of, and it's hard when you're not around the table, but they were making comments about the forest down in Baldale and one down in Mulwala, and whether that comes into actions or not, but it gave us a good, at least list that we can, if there's issues about, probably because of definitely because of the review and the inquiry into the fires about the Crown Land risk, as well as our own roadways. I get that. So yeah, we can take up that old policy and see what that looks like, and but encourage them to be within their own land. Obviously, it clears us a lot more about weeds or about clearing habitat or things that we can get in trouble with. But it's going to be a huge effort from everyone. I think the wild oats that are out there are that high.
The other one, if I may, Mr. Deputy, in regard to how long I think you've got stationed there at what is called a Category 6 or Category 8 fire tanker, which holds an enormous amount of water.
30,000 litres.
Sorry?
30,000.
30,000 litres. And it's the only one, other than a private one that I know of, Doug Gray's got down at Terramaya. But they are magnificent machines for grassland fires, which is what we are. And so I think in our overall outlook, some of this should be, say, at Daystow or other parts of our sections of our shire, those sort of category trucks, if we can apply through the Rural Fire Service to get that organised. The ones that we have currently out there in all these areas are more typical to go up in the hills, which we've done. But when you're talking about a truck that holds that much water, it's a single operator, it's got a turret, you can operate it with a joystick inside. That's all benefits all the way around. And I think that's something as a council, we could, support the Rural Fire Service and any other agency that we can get at least one more or a couple more.
Any further questions or comments, councillors? Got a recommendation there that council note the report on the capital works. Council acknowledge and receive the additional funding, 1.257 million, and that council consider the expenditure to be above received for the funding. Get a move for that recommendation. Councillor Meagle, seconded Councillor Law. Was in favour?
Yeah.
Carried.
Item 10.3 is the minutes from the Section 355 Committee for Lonsdale Recreation Reserve. This is the recommendation.
Got a recommendation there for the mover. Councillor Thomas, second Councillor Wales. Any questions or comments? Put it. Those in favour? Against? Carried.
And 10.4 is the report recommending the adoption of the master plan for Lonsdale Recreation Reserve. You will recall that some time ago this went through council and it was put on public exhibition. Then we did get one submission from the department, just in reference to the title of the reserve, and also saying that by them approving to the master plan doesn't give a blanket DA approval to any DAs that may come up, which is understandable. But so we'll incorporate those comments into the master plan, and it's now moved that it be adopted.
Got a recommendation there, councillors. Moved by Councillor Kennedy, seconded Councillor Longley. Any questions or comments? I'll put it. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
That's my little...
And that's Director Carmichael's report.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
If we want to stay in. Do you want to stay in? Because the second one's about the...
Sydney crossword puzzle over here.
And we'll get
11. So 11, Chair, is notice of motion questions with notice. 11.1 is a question with notice from Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I'll read your...
Yeah, for sure. Yes, so this is a notice which I have put forward today. There is currently an exploration licence application for mineral out on exhibition for parts of the Eastern Federation Council area. Can Council please provide some commentary of their input process when such notices are tabled? Thank you.
We'll just get our Director to come in for her response. Hello again.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. I actually rang the company that have lodged this application. This type of application is for a year and it's a desktop review as noted in the competency and business paper. If they take this further after doing a desktop review, essentially the desktop review allows them to get access to information already been done and held by government agencies for the site that they're looking at. If they go past that stage, they have to get an extension to the licence and then they will negotiate with the landholders and it'll go back out on exhibition. I've requested that if that is to occur that they contact council. in regard to the licence.
Can I also make a comment? Angkor prospecting have been drilling around how long for years, probably 10 odd years. Haven't seen them for a while, but they've been there consistently in the hills behind our.
But it is something that we do keep an eye on, because it will really.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a copy of it, and I'm sure you've seen it.
Yep.
Just another question. Have you had any phone calls from our ratepayers?
No,
in
because
regards to
speaking to the officer that's in charge of this licence at the company, they've had the landholders in question contact them directly, which is great.
Yeah, good. No, thank you.
No problem.
Happy with that, Councillor Thomas?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
No worries.
Agenda item 11.2, council, there's another question of notice from Councillor Longmire. Councillor Longmire, you'd like to address your question to our Director of Engineering Services, Mr Carmichael?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. In regard to, I thank Mr Carmichael for accepting the question. Certainly in the opportunity that's been noted recent times, the Balldale water supply upgrade is an opportunity for the residents of Balldale to look forward to, and so the questions are coming out there to ask where's it at, and what are we about, and what's going on. So, Mr Carmichael, I thank you for your response for what you've done.
Yeah, I think the problem we have at the moment is just getting the licence. It's been sitting in there for a few weeks now, and just as soon as we get the licence, we're off to go.
Okay.
That's basically what we're waiting for.
I guess drillers at this season aren't really busy at the moment, and so there should be an opportunity sooner than later to get the driller.
Yeah, well, I know they've been talking to drilling companies as well, so which is my understanding they've got that card ready to go as soon as we get a licence. So it's just a matter of we'll do the one up near the existing bore first, and then come back and reopen the one, or put another one down beside where they did the other one, further back south there. And I don't think they ever tested that fully. They only ran a very short test. To set up the feasibility, you need a 72-hour test run of a pump on it to make sure you're not going to draw it down in a hurry and that sort of thing. So,
my understanding was the one at Lavis Road, it was tested, but as you say, only a short time.
Yeah, it was very good water for them to test it on. They ran it for a few hours, but they didn't run it for them.
Why would there be a need to go put another bore down there?
Well, you can reopen that one. It's only capped off now.
Yeah.
It's been capped according to your licence requirements. You've got to cap them down below to stop infiltration getting into them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Longmire, and Director Carmichael.
The mic is for those to get a move to note the questions with notice and the answers provided. Is that all right?
Yeah, happy with that. We've got a move for those. Moved by Councillor, second by Councillor Longmire. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. 11.3, councillors, a notice of motion from Coal Seam Gas, moved by Councillor Thomas. Councillor Thomas, get you to read your motion. I'll then call for a seconder, and then you can elaborate on your.
All right, thank you. That council support the positions by the former Cora and Urana Shires in 2013/14 that there be no coal seam gas exploration on public lands within the defined council area called Federation.
We have a second for that. Councillor Laws second the motion. Councillor Thomas, would you like to?
Yeah, no, that's fine. So just a little bit of background. I was delegate on a coal seam open cut coal mining tour back in 2013. We did go to Gunnedah as a Section 355 of the Cora District Landcare. We did have some really key people with us at the time, which was really good. And then we went on to present to a closed council section, and in the room at that particular time would have been some fellow members that I have here with me today, plus the Berrigan, Murrumbidgee and Urana Shires. So therefore they would have went away and hopefully formed similar positions to what the former Cora Shire did. And I'd like to think that now we could actually bring together and formally bring together what Urana had on their books and what the former Cora Shire had on their books. As you would be aware, landholders still have these signs displayed on some of their, especially to the north of town, on their gates and entrances. So people still feel very strongly about the topic. And I really think that we'd have the support out there with our ratepayers if we were able to amalgamate the two motions that are on the books. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councillor Longley.
I'm not convinced that there's enough information here for us to evaluate supporting that motion. It needs further investigation. As you know, just recently they've opened, the state government's approved the development up north in Gunnedah. And some of the information I'm not aware of. Obviously, Councillor Thomas is, but I'd like to move that we defer that motion pending further information.
You just seek a second back to that.
Yeah, does anyone, councillors, like to support Councillor Longley in deferring the motion for further investigation?
And is this clarity? Could I have clarity, Mr Deputy Mayor? Is this an amendment?
Are you going to put that through as an amendment, Councillor Longley, or are you asking?
I can do
It's
that.
actually, well, it's probably borderline whether you could do an amendment
Or
because
as a second motion?
it's it can't be the opposite to a motion. So as a motion on the floor, it's probably safer to vote on that motion. If it was a minor amendment, I'd say you can amend it, minor change. But if you're seeking to defer without being against it, yeah, it's probably a matter for the chair to consider that. But yeah, would you get a seconder on that if you were moving to defer for further information, further investigation? Would there be
We've got a seconder for the original motion as it stands. If we run that motion and that motion was defeated, Councillor Longley, we could take your motion then with a seconder. You happy with that, Councillor Longley? Happy with that, Councillor Thomas and Law? Any further questions or comments on the motion as put by Councillor Thomas? No further comments. I'll put the motion, which is the council support the position of the former Corowa Council in Urannah Shires of 2013-14, that there be no coal seam gas exploration on public lands within a defined council area called Federation. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against?
Can I have my vote recorded, please?
Motion is carried. Councillor Longley reported an against vote. 11.4, councillors, another notice of motion regarding Melbourne Street Mulwala Speed Zone. Again, Councillor Thomas, I'll get you to present your motion.
I'm really happy to. That council collaborate with the Mulwala community and RMS to review speed zones in Melbourne Street, Mulwala.
Do we have a seconder for that motion?
Yeah.
Second by Councillor Longmire. Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, no, happy to talk to us. I'm going to go back to a press release dated the 27th of June 2017. Now, you think back to 27th of June 2017, who was sitting in chamber? Who was representing our communities? There was a change in Melbourne Street, and it was to reflect a new speed zone of 50 kilometres an hour. These signs were installed via instruction from Roads and Maritime Services. So I would like to think if I was sitting in chamber back in June 2017, or probably prior in about the April or May, I would have liked to have thought that we could have been consulted and not instructed from RMS. But who was speaking on our behalf back then? A general manager, an administrator, and maybe 3 or 4 directors. It went through. Okay, here we are sitting today as Federation Council. I would like to think that we could have influence and work with RMS and our community to review the speed zones and maybe consider, you know, what you have here in Corowa. You actually have 3 speed zones here in Corowa. You actually have the new 80Ks, and then you can go to 60, and then you can go to 50 within your precinct. I can't see why we can't work as a council with RMS and our community to achieve that. And then, as I've written there, I'm no roads expert, but I look forward to getting some guidance from road experts. You know, just possibly some other really key strategies. We are going to have a busy main street. Our main street is going to get busy. And that's likely because there's some really key reasons why it is going to get busy. Not only because we have proposal of new housing subdivisions going in, but we have some really key tourist attractions coming into our main street, which will become a hub. We will be, you know, visited. We will have people come to us. So, I've just listed 4 strategies that I thought could work. So let's explore those. Let's work with our communities. Let's work with RMS. Let's work with our directors. because they're the people that we need to rely on to give us these really concrete avenues to move forward. And the other thing too, I think if we really did this and did it well, it actually is going to put pressure both on council and RMS to actually do some forward planning and consider a bypass for Melbourne Street. It has to come, because we have a lot of non-local traffic using Melbourne Street now, and we've just spoke about how it's going to increase. So, if we do some forward planning, how is our streets going to look into the future? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Any other questions or comments, councillors, on the Melbourne Street motion?
Just
Councillor Mogle.
question for Councillor Thomas. So are you looking to reduce the speed zones within Mulwala, or is it about creating more flexibility within?
So I think in response to your question, we absolutely need to review the current speed zones and how they are set up. So whether, we're looking at what may be similar to what you have here in Cora, or they have the 80, the 60 and then the 50, or do we have an 80, a 60 and then some reduction? Now, if you revisit the master plan for Melbourne Street, which I do have a copy of, and I tried to get an exploded view of the master plan for council today, this is a 2008 master plan. Is there opportunity where we revisit this master plan and look at what hasn't gone in? Now, I do believe there was, and our director Carmichael might be able to comment, there was supposed to be a third roundabout go in. Would that naturally slow our traffic? I'm not really sure, but if you would like to provide some commentary, that would be great.
Yeah, what we've done with the master plan is we've done stage 1, 2 and 4. Pretty good engineers, we couldn't count. So now we've got to do stage 3, which is a bit in the middle, which does have another roundabout in it.
Post office.
Which is, what a street?
At the post office.
English Street. But what's the next one? Is it Havelock?
No, it's not Havelock. Havelock's to the north.
The names of the street. But anyway, there's...
So would you think that something like that is actually going to naturally slow that traffic? Because what concerns me, and
roundabouts will slow traffic.
Yeah, is that there is a playground going in there, and it is going to attract. And as we know, the parking bays that are there designated for that particular playground there aren't going to be suffice for the needs, for the demand. So.
Problem with the parking bays over there, there was a lot more originally, but RMS told us to take them out because we had to have turning lanes through each of the side roads. And we told them we're dead ends, but they wouldn't listen to us.
And that's probably what astounds me is, what is our relationship with RMS?
Oh, fantastic. We don't talk to one another.
Councillor Thomas, can I just, for clarity for myself, does Melbourne Street extend from the start of the bridge to, I guess, the Tocumwal Road?
Spring Drive, yeah.
Yeah, so it's the Tocumwal Road. So if the motion was to be won, we would be reviewing from Tocumwal Road to the bridge.
Yes.
And going to community consultation. That may see a lot of different replies on the 50k zone being right out to Tocumwal Road as well. So I understand that, and I agree that the Mulwala community certainly would be the ones that we'd have to consult with, more so probably than RMS, even though they've needed to be consulted with. I think we need to be aware that that's going to happen, that there's going to be some positive and negative feedback right out to the start of Spring Drive regarding the 50k. So, but that being said,
I just think we really need to take on board that the decision was made when there was no representatives for that community, when that decision was made to put in those 50k signs. We've highlighted that, and that was back in June 2017, and here we are sitting here today. And I'd like to think we can develop this relationship and have a really strong approach to how our communities will like their streets set up. And then, as I said, thinking about the forward planning of that non-local traffic versus the local traffic. Who users need to use these streets?
Councillor Mogle, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question for Mr. Carmichael. So in the hierarchy of relationships, despite the consultation with the community, the support of council, we get to RMS, they have the final say? Or what? Yep. So
they set speed limits on every every road in the state have to pay out if we don't. The only ones we have are roadworks speed limits. We can set them on local roads. Permanent speed zone is set by usually in consultation with the traffic committee. Goes back and they have delegated the power to do that. We don't.
Yep. Thank you.
Any further comments?
This is document out, which I thought we might circulate even with the minutes. Mr. Deputy Mayor or General Manager, it's just about, we talked about the 40 the other night. There's a set of guidelines there that you need to follow if you're looking at a 40 speed limit, and pretty much that would apply to other speed limits as well, so it may be just worth circulating that with the minutes, just as a document.
And I'm sure they'll be all presented in the review when that was to take place.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to go. Any further comments, councillors?
Councillor Thomas's other comment, that other design, that missing section of Melbourne Street is designed, I would presume that will be ready for construction next year, which council.
So that includes the extra roundabout, which could naturally slow the traffic. Our concern with the traffic.
There's a median from there down to the English Street, so the median comes out another block.
Ann Street, yeah.
Okay.
I think.
No further comments? I'll put it. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Item 11.5, another notice of motion regarding housing estates. Again, Councillor Thomas.
Yeah.
All day, Councillor Thomas.
Oh,
You should read the motion on the last first.
yeah, no, that's fine. That council hosts a synopsis to gauge the community's needs in regards to housing and planning estates. And obviously, as you all be aware, just some background, I mean, we don't really have to go through the background, but we do have two really key significant housing estates moving forward. And I just thought with our planning, and I know that our director has mentioned this before, and especially with our zones and, you know, all that kind of thing and some commentary, but I'm just more concerned about how they're going to look into the future, and maybe we need that, you know, that community input once again. We had some really great, robust discussion the other afternoon on policy and resource, which was really enlightening because everyone has their different ideas on how our communities might look. And it's not only here along the river, but it could be our northern counterparts as well. So if we gave opportunity to maybe have something, I'm not really sure what format, but I just used, you know, that kind of format, thinking it could be a really good sounding board. You know, there's so many things to consider when we're planning these estates. You know, not only the lot sizes, which has been highlighted, and we've heard either the for and against for lot sizes, we've heard that. We've heard about, you know, having different types of lot sizes and how that works within an estate. But I think other things need to be considered is the services that go with that. I mean, one thing that was being highlighted in the Mo'wela community this last week, yeah, we have an extra 400 houses and how that's going to look. But what about the services for Mo'wela? Does that include, you know, looking at medical services, you know, schools, you know, all those other flow-on things? Do we start that conversation now? Thank you.
Councillor Thomas, I'll just get a seconder for that motion.
With amendment at this time, Mr. Chair, thank you. Rather than hosting a symposium, can I amend that to ask council to review, this council staff to review the needs for housing and planning estates and get council staff to prepare something for us councillors to, as a starting point, and then with community consultation, which would naturally follow for that.
Councillor Thomas, you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm really happy. Thank you very much. That would be great.
Councillor Meagle, we'll just get the rewording of that motion. The event it will become a motion. I'd support that.
Yeah, the council seek or ask the staff to provide a report on with respect to community needs regarding housing planning estates. Is that broad enough for you, Madam Director?
Yes, thank you.
That Mr. General Manager.
Council asks staff to provide a report with respect to community needs
in regards to future housing and planning estates.
As an amendment.
Future housing estates.
Yep.
Or planning future housing estates.
Correct. Yeah, thank you, Mr. General Manager. That's good.
Sorry, just a point of clarity, one amendment hasn't been seconded anyway, so Councillor Thomas just made that motion.
Councillor Longmire had seconded that.
Oh, okay.
You seconded the amendment, Councillor Longmire?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, so the amendment's been seconded, Mr. General Manager.
I'd like to speak when I can.
And with right to speak
when I can. And okay, thank you. Yeah, I think it's important that there's never been an opportunity really. Everybody has a say in the community, but some of the major players, certainly real estate agents, they are important in regard to negotiating or interviewing people that want to relocate and that opportunity. And so that's important. Other people that may, once they are aware of this opportunity, that sit on blocks of land might come forward or have some opportunity for them to come forward to apply their interest in making their vacant land available. So there could be lots of things around those opportunities that we instigate and let that come together.
Can I make some comment on that?
Yes, Director, yes,
Thank you. So you'd all be aware that we had the LEP project that was running, which we have changed to conversion LEP. We did have that opportunity. We called for expressions of interest in January of this year for people who wanted to develop their land. And at that time, there was public consultation with an online survey, phone calls, targeted groups and community sessions. And the response from the community was quite poor. And this isn't uncommon. It's not until we get developments like we have on the table at the moment, one from Morwala and one from Cora, that the community get interested. So yes, this is a good time to engage with the community and get their feedback. But the local environmental plan and your strategic land use strategies are where this type of information should go. So we're at a point where we can put that together and consult with the community. And it covers off everything from what it should look like, how much green space we need, through to what infrastructure needs to be under the ground and whether it's going to be environmentally sustainable long term. That's good.
Any further comments, Councillor?
I can just finalise my little contribution in regard to a lot of people. You talk to them, they've got blocks of land. What's the LEP? I'm not sure what that is. You know, they should, but they don't. Yeah. And so at the end of the day, that's the thing that stalls some of these opportunities. If we can do it in a simpler way, I know that the correct pronunciation of what it is, but we need to get it to people to understand. And there'll be plenty of people around this community and others as well that have been sitting on blocks of land for years and years and years. And, and then something might happen and all of a sudden the family come along and they go forward with it. But I think it's an important time to go forward locally to get it out there in a common discussion around the pub tests and all the rest of the opportunities.
Absolutely. Yep.
And to be honest, planning is a hard sell. Very hard sell to the public.
Correct. Any further comments, councillors?
Can I just seek some clarity? Sorry again. So Councillor Thomas had a notice of motion. Was that seconded?
Yes.
By Meagle?
Councillor Meagle with an amendment.
With an amendment.
With an amendment.
And the amendment was seconded by Councillor Longmire.
Yeah, no, so it doesn't need an amendment. So the seconder, if Councillor Thomas seconded the original motion and want to change that before it's actually put, that's sort of where you do it. Otherwise, you've sort of got Thomas and Meagle and then you've got an amendment of Meagle and Longmire. So
it has to be put, yes.
So do you want
Councillor
it's
Thomas.
probably easier if Thomas agrees. She would
amend the motion?
Meagle would second it and that new wording.
Yeah, that's fine.
Happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll have to.
Okay.
Good governance skills.
So as it stands now, the original motion would be amended by Councillor Meagle.
Well, no, sorry, no.
Thomas and Meagle
do the
reworded motion.
That's right. So the motion now is?
Council asked staff to provide a report with respect to planning, with respect to community needs in regards to planning where planning, future housing estates.
Thank you.
I'm going to check the tape.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you.
Susan.
That's right, trying to work out what happened. Agenda item 12 is reports from committees. I have no presenter reports or any verbal reports from our committees.
Just one, the Disability Committee had an inaugural meeting during the week, which I'm on that, and Councillor Thomas is on there too. It's a great start, and not much to report at this stage unless you've got more to add, Bronnie, but we're underway, you might say.
Yeah. No other reports?
I've got delegate.
Yeah, that's the next one. Verbal reports from delegates. Councillor Thomas.
Yeah. As my fellow councillor just mentioned, we had our disability. I think it will be a really exciting committee. I've gone away and talked to a couple of key people because we've started to develop some strategies on how we're going to deliver and scope the committee. So that's really exciting. So watch this space and watch the launch date. Hopefully it's going to be the 3rd of December, which fits in with National Disability Week. The other point of call is that thank you to my fellow councillor Whitechurch. I was able to do teleconference for the Murray River Advisory Group on Hume to Yarrawonga Waterway Management Committee. Did I get it all out right? It was very interesting, even though it was 3 hours, really solid 3 hours, and that was really, really interesting. But I really would like to actually probably call on our director, Appleyard, if she could come back. Sorry. I just didn't know whether there was opportunity. There was a presentation in and around the bank stabilisation works that go on, especially along the foreshore here at River Street, and there might have been some along here to the north of Ball Park, was there, that they've done. I just thought it would probably be good if that kind of information could be brought to us on our business papers, because it just be worth noting when that happens. And I do believe that they work closely with council when they're doing those kind of refurbishment works along the bank to do the stabilisation. Or is it Steve? Oh, sorry, I thought it might have been your area.
No, usually approvals do come through to us if one is required.
Yeah.
With the works that were undertaken, the only way I found out about it is they removed somebody's jetty.
Yeah, okay.
And they needed that to be replaced, and that required a consent. So that's the only time I was made aware of the works. If it affects one of our reserves, we also get notified.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, well, thank you. Well, I wasn't really sure, but I just thought maybe if there's opportunity to Steve and get this presentation and just add it to a link to our business papers at some stage, and then we have background, because I certainly didn't know that this was going on until I was on this particular video conference. So
there's a lot happening in our waterways at the moment. We're getting very limited information.
Yeah, okay. And I did.
Councillor Thomas, that committee that you actually represent me on, they meet twice a year, and it does do and pertain to all the water between Lake Hume and Wales. So it's very pertinent to the Federation Council. But that was a committee that I was brought on to last year by this council, and we hadn't had a representative since Bob Parr on that committee. So we weren't getting any of the information because we simply didn't have a representative. So I'm sure that if you being the second, if I can't attend, that we do attend those, and we probably get a lot more stuff, because there are a lot of emails get flicked through from that committee, from Hugo. So I'm happy to circulate those if that would help.
That's good to know what's happening.
Yeah, they're normally just general information. There's certainly nothing confidential in them. So,
but we did have opportunity, like as a representative, we did have opportunity to update them on what might have been happening in our space. So, I mean, a couple of the items that I was able to talk to was the master plan for Ball Park, and obviously the location of a boat ramp and where that might be. We're unsure, but that's part of the process. And they already knew about the proposed lock weir that's been brought to the table. I wouldn't say it would sit easily with some of the members of that particular committee, but that's okay. We live in a democratic society, and they probably said things on the airways they probably shouldn't have said, but it's been said now. So, yeah. Anyway, they know about it, and I said, well, it's very much a work in progress, and it's in its very early stages of being scoped. So, yeah, thank you. That was good.
I thank you for attending that meeting.
That's okay.
Because I didn't know it was a 3-hour meeting. Sorry. Anything else there, Councillor Thomas?
No, it's all good.
Councillors, any other reports, verbal reports? Councillor Longmore?
Yeah, just to mention, I've already spoken about the Rural Fire Service workshop at Daysdale the other evening.
Thanks, Susan.
And certainly just to retouch on the opportunity out at the Coral Saleyards for the upgrade of the funding that's been furnished by the state government, and I too support the Mayor and his comments in regard to that sort of money that's come forward. And it's been said at when I spoke to the chairman of ELSA, the group that I actually sit on the board, based in Melbourne, and they were so commenting of the fact that it's supporting the concept of saleyards. And there's been a lot of conversation around the fact of the selling by Auctions Plus, this opportunity. And it's interesting to know that the big sale at Jerilderie the other day, a major store sale, we're coming up here, I think it's on the 22nd special sale out at Jerilderie the other day, where they had the system of auction plus, but the report in the Weekly Times went on to mention that the physical presence of buyers dominated the sale. So it augurs well when you think about it with regard to the future, whether the auction plus or the online selling will take over the system of selling through the sale yards. At this point in time, you'd have to say no.
Thanks, Councillor Longmire. Councillor Meagle.
Yeah, just also attended the announcement for the sale yards, and it was really pleasing to see the state government respond to all the hard work that our staff have done in prosecuting that grant opportunity, and to give us a chance to future-proof a very valuable asset for Corowan District.
Thank you, Councillor Meagle. Nothing further, councillors. I'll put that recommendation to accept the verbal reports from delegates. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried.
Move and second.
I'll move it.
Move Councillor Moore now. Seconded Councillor Kennedy. Correspondence requiring council action information. We've all received our correspondence. Our agenda. Yeah, there's a couple there. Country mayors, which obviously talking, I didn't attend that. The Swan Hill Regional Council.
Brian's got a hand up.
Sorry.
Whatever. Or you just, I wouldn't mind talking to one if that.
Yeah, I'll just read through them, and those that want to speak. The Howland Public Schools submitted a couple of letters, and of course Ramjo. So, Councillor Thomas, you want to speak on one, so you're first off the rank?
Can we just, no worries at all, can we just, so if anyone's got anything on 14.1, is yours 14.1?
That's 14.2 actually.
Okay.
So if I just add a quick clarity on 14.1, that's obviously for note and to watch this space, but it's something that's been discussed for a long time about RFS assets, whether they be buildings and plants. So that's just to watch this space part of the council. Sorry.
14.2.
Yeah, I would like to think everyone's taken the time to read the letter from Swan Hill Rural Regional Council. I just would like to read a portion of what they're writing to us. They're calling for the urgent establishment of recreational and community allocation of water from the environmental water holdings of the Commonwealth Environmental Water Holder to support the social fabric of rural communities. Now let's cast our minds back, fellow councillors. It was not that long ago that we were sitting here or in the other room in chamber, and we were looking at gaining water, permanent water for Lake Urana. And we would have liked to maybe possibly had the opportunity for that water to come from such an area, from the Commonwealth, from the environmental water holding. So I would actually like to see Council, Federation Council, write a letter of support, not only to Swan Hill in thanking them for engaging us in this process, but also on their recommendation to lobby the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister to support this case. Because that social fabric of rural communities, that was something that was so important to us. So we can absolutely relate to what they're saying, because water does do that. And you have access to it.
The General Manager?
Yeah, and backing up on Councillor Thomas, even locally in Cora, like I've had the Walton brothers with Maverick Boats and everyone showing us how bad the Cora River always gets in. And it links to that need to have or the desire to have a lock weir put in there.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same argument. The river doesn't need to get as low as it does, and everyone's worrying about a flood going forward because it probably held a lot of water in, and so it's exactly the issue. So I'd support adding a point to that note in the correspondence along what you just said.
Any other comments on 14.2? Thank you, Councillor Thomas. 14.3 was the Howland Public Schools letters from the students. Councillor Longley, you'll have something on that for
Yeah, that was great to see all the kids writing in. The General Manager gave him plenty of light reading at night, and I congratulate them. It's a project of years 5 and 6. I'd propose that maybe with the General Manager, but certainly with myself and the rest of the Low Square Committee and Darren Harvey, that we meet the children on site and review their concerns and work together on it.
Yeah, I can't see a problem with that, Mr. General Manager. That would be a a way forward?
Yeah, sure.
Not
I think it ties in with the overall review of the master plan for the site anyway, to look at what's been built, what could be built, and doing some consultation around all that. Yeah.
And again, it's about meeting the community to see what their needs are, and in this case, the needs are the users of the BMX track, not necessarily the broader community. A bit like Council Law with our skate park, where the skate park kids in Cora were included in the committee. So I think that's a great idea, and perhaps we can let that one sit with you as General Manager as to progress that forward with the nominated people. And the final correspondence requiring council action is the Ramsay board meeting. This General Manager, you might be able to give us a feedback on that.
That was an extraordinary meeting, just called. It moved to two resolutions were carried. So one was to appoint Councillor Kevin Mack, Mayor of Albury, and our Ramsay Chair, as a new replacement board member for Murray Regional Tourism, with the resignation of Des Bilski, who's the GM down at Murray River. So Kevin Mack's been appointed or recommended from us as Ramsay to go into that MRT board. And the second point was the Far West JO, so the joint organisation that encompasses Balranald, Wentworth, Central Darling and Broken Hill. So it's a massive land area, but a very small population except for Broken Hill. They've got a lot of funding, but I think it's they've got some issues about how they try and deliver on their things they need to deliver both for the state and for their community. So there was a report put through to seek the board's endorsement of whether Ramsay could lend a hand, because Ramsay is so well going, but there was a strong concern or making sure that it didn't impact on our JO's ability to keep driving forward our things. But if we could reach out, and a lot of the things that the Mayor, even our Mayor, brought up about the commonalities around across through that area with tourism and all, and even to the point of we could learn more on tourism about what they are doing out in that Western River Country and further up to the corner. So, so that was supported, and it'll be just a bit of a watch this space in terms of how JO can lean out there to the further west and help that out, because Balranald's under administration. I think Central Darling still is under administration, so there's obviously a lack of councillor reps as well out there, so you can see why it would be struggling when it's just Wentworth and Broken Hill as far as elected reps too. So just for information, and another sign that Ramsay is going along very well. So.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. We've got a recommendation there. The correspondence on 14.1 to 14.4 is tabled in October 20th, to be noted. Moved by Councillor Law, seconded by Councillor Kennedy.
Just to note that I will add those comments or that piece out of the Swan Hill letter.
Okay.
Water issue? That's right.
Okay. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Okay. Next item is our confidential matters, agenda item 15. Thank you, councillors. Reporting back on the closed council. And the result on a motion of Council Legal and Law, the council notes the content of the report in relation to the setting of land sale prices at Howling Industrial Precinct, that the council note the requirement to formalise the draft preemption agreement and determine the settlement items, and the council seek expression of interest for a real estate service for all council industrial land that is for sale, and the council receive a further report at a future council meeting. So moved. Moved to council. We've already got that moved in closed.
Just read them out.
Yeah, just read it out for. And the second closed matter was the General Manual's annual review in confidential. The recommendation is that council note the General Manager's annual performance review conduct on the 3rd of September 2020 by the General Manager's Performance Review Committee. And the council receive and endorse the recommendation from the General Manager's Performance and Review Committee as tabled. Because that's the council meeting for this month.
Thank you.
Declare the meeting closed at 2:20.
Thank you, Brian.